Welcome to Colliers Talks, a podcast series featuring the latest trends, insights, research, and developments in commercial real estate in Canada and beyond.
Well, we're here.
We did it.
Can you believe this?
I mean, we've been talking about this for some time.
We're doing a podcast.
We're doing a podcast.
Believe it. And it's about our favorite topic.
We're pretty passionate about it.
And what is this podcast called?
It's called Retail Unfiltered, which I think really describes how
fitting.
we speak.
I think it's fitting.
I like the name. You and I talked about this months and months ago about how we thought we had enough to say.
And I can't believe they've actually let us do it.
Let us do
I can't
this.
believe we've got a setup. We're here. We're here to talk about retail. I think it's probably important for us to kind of identify why are we here? What are we doing here? And who are we?
Yeah, it's a great start. I am Tina Williams. I am the VP of National Leasing here at Colliers. And I help our clients and our retail assets find and get the best retailers for the properties. I think that sums it up.
And
I'm
Bri-Ann Stuart. I work on the other side, the safe side, operations. Well, I'm the vice president. Yeah, vice president of property operations, retail portfolio management. You know, we focus specifically on retail. I think that's really important. What we feel is the most exciting asset class is retail. It's where our area of focus is on. And what are we going to do here? What are we doing? I don't know. What are you going to do here?
I think we have talked about this as an opportunity for some time because we truly do have passion for it, and we don't consider this work. I think I can speak for both of us when I say we understand the importance of retail in our everyday lives. And for me, I am the ultimate consumer with a critical lens.
You consume a lot of retail. I can
consume
support that. I can absolutely support that.
Yeah. And so what do you think we're here for?
For me, I feel like I'm the ultimate retail ambassador. I will take any opportunity to discuss retail. I mean, to do it on this platform, to be able to connect with others, I think is just a great opportunity, and I'm so excited about it. Also, I'm really passionate about our retail team.
Agreed.
That includes you, our whole entire retail team, just because I want to share our retail experience. And ultimately, I just think it's amazing that we're able to showcase women in real estate.
Oh,
I don't think we get to do that enough, and this platform is enabling us to do that today. So I'm really excited about it.
Me too. And I'm excited that this is just the beginning.
Absolutely.
The beginning of many, hopefully.
And when you talk about beginnings, I'm curious because, I mean, I know a little bit about this, but I think everyone would be interested to know how you got started in this. Mm-hmm. Like, how'd you get to where you are today?
I was a mall rat. Started my my retail career at a mall.
Fellow mall rat.
Aldo Shoes.
I worked at Aldo Shoes.
15 years old, started at Kohl's Bookstore, also great Canadian.
Two great Canadian retailers. It's important.
And that was really the start of my retail and brand experience, you know, learning about customers and what their needs are, learning about the financials of a retail, what makes it tick and what was required. My introduction to loyalty programs, you know, if you recall, it's been a few years, but it was the first time I'd really understood like loyalty was important to a business or customer experience. And
the power. It could be so powerful.
Avid Reader program at the time.
I was a fellow member.
I sold that. I sold that well. I sold many.
That's vintage. That's vintage loyalty.
and from there I left and went to a small law firm, and from there started in commercial lease negotiation at, you know, one of Canada's largest real estate companies. And from there went into strategic partnerships and building new streams of revenue. And then it got me to here.
I love how you started in like legal. Like you're legal and you're big, doing all these great things now. Like it's a definitely important foundation. But yeah. I love that about you, knowing you getting your start in legal. I think that's amazing.
Yeah, I think it was a great foundation, and I had some great leaders who really took the time to guide me in those fundamentals of lease negotiation. So I'm really grateful for, you know, folks who helped me along the way and gave me a shot. And got into leasing and got into the alternative revenue, generation and just thinking about retail differently, which brought me to here.
We're glad you're here.
And then over to you. How did you get started in this?
So I actually started my career in marketing. So my background is marketing. I was marketing shopping centers. So I started in a small shopping center in Southwestern Ontario doing the marketing. And I loved it. It was so much fun, but I found I spent a lot of time thinking about processes.
Sure.
ROI.
It's not surprising.
And so, and you know what? I fortunately had a leader that said, you know, do you want to maybe try the stream of property management? So I did it, and I literally never looked back. And what I love so much about it is that it was literally a girl's dream. My office was in a shopping center.
Yeah.
Each and every day, that's where I went to work. I found every day was different. It was dynamic. It was exciting. And I was just provided so much opportunity.
And I think it's really interesting to, I hadn't put it together until now, just that you started in a really creative role and went to an operations. I started in a little more of an operations role and then went, and creatively. So it's really a 360 approach to how we kind of got here.
And I think it's safe to say that we're in the right place. I think we're where we should be.
I agree with you.
So something that I appreciate about you, Tina, is that I find that you have a unique perspective. So, and you're very knowledgeable and related to leasing. So in relation to consumer behaviors and leasing strategies, specifically, how are these evolving consumer behaviors shaping the types of tenants that you're filling our client spaces with?
This is very near and dear. You're right. I'm passionate about how educated consumers are. There's no time in history where I think consumers know exactly what they want, how they want it. And I try when we work with our clients and with retailers to focus on a true partnership. Truly what is going to understand the goals and the objectives for all for a win-win situation. I've always had a unique ability to get ahead of trends or understand trends and where things are going.
You have to in your role.
Look, again, if you're not passionate about the environment, how can you sell it? No one's going to believe it if I don't believe it. And I think that there's a real focus as we'll talk about it probably a little bit later, but the focus on health and beauty and food and entertainment. Those are opportunities I think that we're going to see, down the pipeline. But they're no longer nice to have. Those experiences, they're essential to leasing strategies. So I think historically, maybe 15, 20 years ago, it was a nice add to either boost revenue for the property or the retail asset. But now it's an essential part of the leasing strategy. So
even consumers, I think, subscription services, personalization, agreed. These are things that are going to evolve even another step further that we're going to be integrating into our
unwrapping
assets.
Things we haven't even considered today. So to be always aware. We talk about what differentiates from a leasing perspective. What I love about working with you so closely is on the operations side, you can really kind of continue to, I was going to say put some restraints, but allow me to think about the end result and the operational process of a deal. You've been doing this a long time. So I have to ask you.
Not that long.
I mean, a bit long. It's longish.
Okay.
What differentiates you as an operations leader in this space?
I think, for sure, when we're working with our teams, there's two areas that I want to be laser focused on, and that's being proactive
for sure
and financially focused. So we've worked on the ownership side. Yep. So we can safely say that we work as owners. So be comfortable knowing that we're managing your asset as if we own it.
Great.
And I think a great way that the teams do that in collaboration, all of us together, is anticipating. So that's preventative risk, right? So I think it's really important that we're tracking KPIs.
Great.
We're having an understanding of where we might have some cost overruns and just really reinvesting the savings accordingly. That's something that's vital. A great example is at Colliers, I think it's just due to, fortunately, our scale, we're able to do national RFPs.
Yeah.
So with that asset that we manage out in Vancouver, a 40% savings just for taking part in that national RFP. So that's meaningful, and that's impactful to our clients.
And to interject, sorry, I don't want to interject, but also to alleviate some of the stress from our clients. We've taken care of that.
Absolutely.
Our team knows what they're doing.
We want to anticipate that. We want to provide that for
them.
And showcase for that this is your savings. This is the work that we're doing behind the scenes to make sure that your asset is as valuable as it can be. And then financially focused, I encourage all of us, we should all be thinking like mini CFOs.
Agreed.
So that means absolutely looking and regularly reviewing your P&L.
Yeah. We
have to know our numbers. We have to understand where we stand. And that's how we're going to, again, continue to contribute value. So bar none, those are the two important aspects for me.
That is so essential. And the yin and the yang, to consider all of those items, even when deal making, is critical.
Absolutely.
So that it's a smooth transition.
I think we talk about costs. Everyone will be talking about costs. Mm-hmm. I think this year, next year, years to come. We're always going to be talking about costs. We always want to manage that. And I think on your end, in your day-to-day, you're dealing with things like rising construction costs, just some economic uncertainty. You could be dealing with tenants in different countries. There's a lot to consider. And I think what I think would be interesting to better understand is how do you balance these tenant expectations with our landlord expectations?
Agreed. So it's interesting because some of them are legitimate. Sometimes it's just an essence of what's happening in the marketplace. I think there are circumstances when the tenant is going to require investment from the landlord.
I think that's a great, when you talk about that, like co-investing.
Co-investing.
With landlords co-investing, I think we used to see that with major tenancies.
Exactly.
But now you're seeing it with these kind of key retailers that you really want to bring to the asset.
And I think, again, I use the partnership model a lot, but really that win-win for all, you're going to see a lot of that. I think you're going to see what I'm excited about, varying creative deal structures. You're going to see, that evolve over time in the Canadian marketplace.
Where it didn't before.
No,
we didn't have that.
We didn't have that
ability
flexibility.
To do that.
And so I think what this has allowed us to open our minds a little bit on what is the opportunity and what's the objective for our retailers to be successful here in Canada. And then again, I go back to my lease negotiation days where there are just basic standard industry accommodations that allow for fair and reasonable negotiation when you're negotiating a lease. The deal is not done when you sign the LOI. The deal is done when the lease is signed. Absolutely. And so that's a long process. So I would say that although there are some real challenges, I do think that, we have to have some understanding of what our retailers and even our consumers, back to our consumers, are facing.
Because things can change very quickly.
100%.
And that length of the lease and that negotiation, things are changing rather rapidly in our environment.
We saw that in the last 2 years. So things that would never have been considered before are now a concern. So for sure. I would say too, leasing's got its challenges and, we see that ebb and flow. What are your biggest challenges in operations?
First and foremost, it's inflation, it's cost. I think that's definitely a challenge. There's higher costs for utilities when we're managing our assets, just sheer materials. Sure. That's something we're facing. Also, technology integration. Technology is definitely an opportunity, but technology is expensive. And that's right now, for a lot of our operators, it's overwhelming. There's so many different programs, systems, all these things that we could be integrating.
And you're scared to jump in.
Absolutely. It's very expensive.
You're scared to jump in.
And that's a huge investment. Yeah. And you really have to take your time and understand that.
Agreed.
And think about buildings, like these huge assets, there's a lot to maintain. We have to make sure that these buildings are being properly maintained so we can eliminate future costs. Capital planning, we have to be very thoughtful about the big ticket items and how we're investing in these assets. And finally, I think one that we can all agree with is labor shortage.
Yeah.
And if I could say anything to anyone looking for a career right now, I would really love people just to be, investigating real estate management. Agreed. It's such a great opportunity. We look at building our talent pipeline all the time with a number of roles. And it doesn't even stop there. It's the vendors that we work with. If we're working on snow removal and finding contractors for that, there's definitely a shortage that I think every industry is really challenged with right now.
I agree. And I think, you talked about maintenance, and that's very near and dear to me. You'll often hear me talk about that. You're walking through a property and it's messy or it's dirty or it's filthy. Bri-Ann and I will walk through properties and we're constantly picking up garbage.
Yeah, at other properties, just picking up the garbage because
we're those people.
That's ingrained in us. That's what we've done, right? I got to make sure the wet floor sign's up.
Exactly.
I might be pushing in people's signs just past the lease line because I want to make sure that's clear. Yeah. So we are fully invested. I think everywhere we go.
Fully invested for sure.
And I think we talk about challenges, and I think we have to be realistic. And in our business, there's challenges. But I think as we're working together, we really try to have we have a positive mindset. So what do you think are really the biggest retail opportunities ahead of us?
I mentioned earlier, but I think that willingness to change and try new things is what I think is the biggest opportunity that we'll see over the next few years, which is exciting to me. So non-traditional ideas of looking at who a retailer or what tenant would go into a retail asset.
And on that point, it makes me think of, traditionally, like historically, we've been managing these enclosed shopping centers where we had to activate the space. But now we're seeing a lot of tenants, a lot of retailers moving out to commercial strip. Yeah. And now we're able to now activate the parking lots like we did these enclosed spaces. Agreed. So owners are now open to just increasing revenue, really any area we can to create an experience and activate the space. And that's something that previously we weren't necessarily always able to do.
I agree. And I think it was always it's going to be harder to do that. Now there's an openness, which I completely agree. And consumers expect it, and they need a reason to leave their couch. And if that creates an experience for them, it'll drive opportunity. Categories like health and beauty.
Oh, that's I'm number one customer.
Sold.
And that's I can't.
Food, which is my category, food and beverage, and an exclusive experience or a consumer-centric focus. I think that's going to be critical over the next few years. Again, consumer is always in my mindset, but the focus on the consumer and what their needs are, taking that data and insights and literally making deals that make sense for the right property. And then I bring it back to a bit about the partnership model again. You're going to hear me say that over and over again. But the ideal around how retail is funded. There is a world in which buckets of revenue will be available over the next few years where you could fund your retail experiences a bit differently. So do I think there's opportunity? Absolutely. If you're creative and you're open to the change. I don't think retail is dead by any means.
No, it's exciting.
It's exciting.
Opportunity. Like we said, opportunities ahead. And with you thinking like you do outside the box, like watch out. I just think it's endless.
Watch out. You know, what I love about working with you, Bri-Ann, is that you're the yin to my yang, and since I can get kind of big and creative.
Oh,
big creative mindset, some big
we
ideas.
Take you down. Yeah, we got.
And working in some of Canada's most complicated operational, environments. I'm curious to learn from you. What do you think? What do you think is going to be innovative in operations in the next few years?
When you're innovating in operations, we all have to really remember that it doesn't mean just keeping things running.
No.
Right?
No.
Sometimes that can be, let's just keep the building. Yeah, keep the
keep
lights
the lights
on. And I think when you're innovating in operations, it's so much more than that. I'd say there's really, I would say 3 areas. First is technology and data. So we want to do data-driven operations.
Agreed.
So we have to understand, it's 2025. There's so much data available to us. What are we doing with that?
What are you doing?
How are we utilizing that data, examining it, mining the data, and understanding how to run our buildings more efficiently? So we have the ability to do that, and that's what we're doing, and we're using that information. What I like to do also is crowdsource from the front line. We have amazing 100%. Team members. They're on site every day, working with our tenants, working with our vendors. They have a great idea of what is working, what isn't working, what could be better. So we have to talk to our people and utilize our people to find out how we can innovate.
And to interrupt you there, I think it's another example too of how both teams work really closely together, because the team on the ground can sense when there's a problem.
They're there every day. They can see it. They're talking to their tenants. They know the traffic patterns. So they understand, like, is that tenant performing? They have a front row seat.
Exactly. So the planning then starts, or there's a dialogue to understand some of the challenges, which I think is brilliant.
And it helps you do the deal, better understand the deal. And that's why I think it's so important when we're both our teams are collaborating together on our assets. And I think it ends up being a win-win.
100%.
I think finally with all of this, with AI, with technology, something that we're able to do for third and final is just doing pilot micro experience. So doing pilot programs, being able to talk to a new provider and just allowing us to do a test drive really of their product or service is invaluable.
Agreed.
And then we're able as well to share that with our other owners and just really create something special.
And also to add to that would be, how do you then launch opportunities for supporting businesses who are supporting our business?
Absolutely.
It becomes a great marketing story selfishly on how we're helping vendors or suppliers or partners in our business.
Yep. And great things can happen. So I think it's just really important that we're understanding who's out there, what's new, and just a different way to approach it. Okay. And I would say, I might be process, kind of tried and true, black and white. But if anyone, you've really helped me think outside of the box. So thank you for that. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you being stern with me once in a while and kind of bringing me down to reality.
No problem.
So it's I
appreciate doing. I like doing that.
It's a great marriage. So I think we have summarized everything that we had on our small agenda.
I think the question about it. The question is, do we get to do this again? I mean, I hope we get to do it again.
The jury would be still out on that.
I mean, yeah, we'll have to. You know what? Maybe a guest.
Maybe a guest next time.
Maybe an expert in another area.
We could interview.
So we could ask. Yeah, we ask. Then they can talk. We just kind of interject like we do. and maybe hear a little bit more about some experts in the retail industry. I think maybe people would like that.
Yeah, I agree. And I think if anybody's listening to this and they have topics of discussion that they're interested in hearing from us, please let us know. And we're just really excited to share our excitement.
We did it.
We did it.
We're done. Thank you, Tina.
Thank you, Bri-Ann.
Thanks for listening to Colliers Talks podcast. To learn more about Colliers Canada, our experts, and our solutions, visit collierscanada.com or find us on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook.